October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Hold on. I want to share on two prominent questions that is always asked. Why do you stay, or why won't you leave? And I never understood those questions until I was in that specific situation. While I can't speak on behalf of anyone else, I'm going to share my reasons. But I do believe that there's commonality across the board. So here goes. I believe in marriage, but I struggled with pride and shame. I was more concerned about what other people would think about my failed marriage because I was married before. I was more concerned about eyes turning, looking at me, being a single mom for such a long time and not able to sustain a marriage. I also thought about my children. What will that look like for them? Because here I am, a single mom, and they say that you need to choose better. But the men that you choose come with the utmost pretense. And then after they get settled, then you start seeing who they are. There are sometimes there are red flags. But if you don't know what to look for when it concerns a red flag, then what are you going to do? I didn't want to walk away because I didn't want to fail. I didn't understand that failure had nothing to do with going back to the drawing board. That failure is something that must happen. It's a part of life. It gives you the opportunity to regroup, regain, restructure, clarity, discernment to go back to the drawing board. But I never had that knowledge at that time. I didn't want to be judged by people that I didn't even know. That's funny, right? I didn't want to be looked down on. What am I going to do? This is what I already know. What is that going to look like for me? So there were a ton of questions that was rolling around in my head. But at the ending of the day, I knew I had to make a decision to walk away from a man who said that if he killed me tonight, nobody else will find my body the next day. And most importantly, I had to think about my kids. So the next time you think about asking somebody else or assume that people are staying simply because of, I want you to think about it this way. This world is far more spiritual than it is physical. A lot of women and even men were never taught the things that they should have been taught growing up. And I know, some of y'all will think, oh, you're grown, you should know better. But is that really true? You can only pull on the knowledge that you have garnered over time. And if you don't have certain type of knowledge, you will not be able to pull on that, no matter what society says or deems. So, back to the world being spiritual than physical. When you have created soul ties with somebody, sometimes it's hard to walk away from that person or that situation. For some women or men, they have not acquired anything for themselves. While that was not my case, I was tied to this individual. And I always say this, the devil never plays fair, but his methods never change. It's always the same thing. But sometimes when your eyes are not open and there's no discernment coming from God nor wisdom, you are going to go back to the things that you know and was taught indirectly and directly. So to the women and men who have survived, I pray that you are now in a position where you're overcoming and choosing to be better for you and for those around you. But remember this one thing. With God, all things are possible. And understand That if God has brought you through it, it no longer belongs to you. Share your story. Share how you came out of that situation to empower somebody else. Hope, right? So somebody else can understand that it's never too late. And no matter what the stigma may look like, there is always hope. So, October, the month of surviving domestic violence. I look at it as the month of celebrating overcoming, thriving, living, being valuable, attracting success, attracting abundance, renewal of mind, renewal of spirit, and walking in your authenticity. So, to all my overcomers, pop your collar, take a bow, because you did that. Love y'all.